Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the Beyond Retro Podcast. I'm Nathan Kennedy, here with Joe Amato, and on today's show, we're going to be talking about the fan film Friday the 13th Vengeance. And I want you to think about that as we go into this conversation, fan film, because Joe and I are probably going to tear it apart a little bit. But Joe, how's it going, man?
It's going pretty good, except for yesterday. I went to go to Popeye's Chicken because I love getting their I love getting their 7-piece dark spicy. You can get this, by the way, for only $5.99. That's why it's good for me. It's nice and cheap. But if you get a meal, it's more. But it's something that I don't think they usually advertise. But here's the thing: as I'm driving up there, from the side, I can see like where the parking. And I was like, wow, that part of the parking lot looks kind of full. And then I make a turn to go into the one spot by the light, and I was like, is that drive-through go? How far is the drive-through? And the drive-through for the line was going almost back to like this Home Depot type store, way back, people cut another way, and then in back of Popeyes, where there's usually never cars parked, full. And I was like, oh, let me guess, that fucking chicken sandwich is back. And of course, I look everywhere, it's like, yep, it's back. The one that people are getting stabbed and killed over, unfortunately. So I was like, all I want is the 7-piece. But if I go there, I'm going to be waiting 2 hours while they're going for the chicken sandwich. I was like, you know what? I'm just going to step back and not get it because I don't want to wait long, and plus I don't want to get stabbed and, out of somebody's rage by running. But that pissed me off. I love my Popeye's chicken, but I couldn't get it because of this damn chicken sandwich. But
hey, you know what? I like Popeye's chicken as well. We don't have any nearby, so if I'm going to one, it's basically 45 minutes to an hour one direction, and probably about an hour drive in another. So you kind of
prepare to wait an hour in line too. So you're gonna be
out for a while. So I might, maybe I should wait. But the thing with the chicken sandwich is it's back to it's sticking around this time. It's not going away. So I don't know why people are wanting to stab and maim.
Oh, it is a permanent part of the menu. That's what I was thinking.
That's what I heard anyway. Is that it's gonna just stick around. So I don't know what the big hoopla is. Apparently, it is the best chicken sandwich that anyone's ever eaten ever. Have you had it?
I haven't. I mean, because the one time when I was going to get it, that's when they said, oh, all sold out. Apparently, they're out of chicken. Then they were out of the buns. And then they said, wait for a month or two. And the thing is, I mean, really, they just said, wait a couple months. You're right. It looks delicious. But
I mean,
now that it's part it does. I just wish they would announce, okay, this is part of the menu. So the hysteria will die down. Or do they want to keep it on the down low so hysteria keeps going for people that come there? I don't know.
I don't know, but it's kind of ironic, right, that more people have died from this Popeye's chicken sandwich than the Joker movie.
Yeah, isn't that something how they want to say, oh, man, this movie's going to be terrible. It's going to cause people to kill each other. It's going to do this. And
it was a fucking chicken sandwich that did it.
And a chicken sandwich, out of all things, like, people, calm down. It's a chicken sandwich. I know it might be the best in the world, but you're going to get it sometime. Calm down. There was a lady on YouTube. They showed her trying to cut in front of somebody in a drive-thru.
I saw that.
Did you see her? She's destroying the right side of her car against those metal posts. I'm like, yeah, $5,000 of damage on your car.
Chicken sandwich.
For a $4 chicken sandwich, but you got $5,000 damage on your car. Thumbs up. I don't understand.
People are incredibly stupid. But hey, there's our topical conversation for the week. Let's go ahead and talk about this fan film. And I want to stress again, it is a fan film. So
fan film.
The budget is basically non-existent. The actors were, I imagine, I kind of have to wonder if there was an auditioning process or if it was just like a local, got some of their buddies. And
it makes you wonder. I mean, they did, of course, get some people from, the Friday the 13th films and other type of, film industry. They got into this movie. And they just, there's some good points. Like I said, Diana Prince is in there, and I made a figure for Jason from Part 4 for her as a Kickstarter for that Powers of Grayskull thing. So it was cool seeing her in the movie.
So if she listens to this, then she's not going to order anything from you again.
She's like, that's it. No. I just want to let her know. It was great seeing her in the movie. And like I said, I do respect what they've done for a fan film, but it's a film that just left me kind of confused, meaning, okay, just for example, because we'll probably do a little comparison back and forth with like Never Hike Alone. Never Hike Alone, another fan film. But the difference is, if you were to put, Never Hike Alone in and not tell anybody this is a fan film and said, watch this is a kind of cool Friday the 13th film, blah, 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 whatever, they'd be into it because from the production value, the sounds, the editing, the way the movie is even shot, it looked professional. But it was a fan film for Never Hike Alone. But then we get this now we get Friday the 13th Vengeance, which is a fan film, and it sure feels like it. But like I said, I guess that's what they're going for. But it just, the story was like all over the place. Unfortunately, the sound, there was times the sounds was really loud, then low. I couldn't hear nothing. And oh, you experienced that too?
There was the one part towards the end when that officer is talking to like the younger sister and that friend that she got dropped off with, and I couldn't hear anything really. Like it was just way lower. And then there's a lot of, and I'm gonna say this up front, like if it was me doing it, I may not even have done what they did. It may have been like way worse. So props to them at least for like putting it together and doing it. But
yeah, because I couldn't do it. But what they did was just, it was very confusing, little plot lines. And it also shows that more isn't always better.
Yeah.
I mean, there's like, it seems like there's over 50 people in this damn movie. And then you look at Never Hike Alone, there's 5.
Yeah.
But it worked perfectly. It's like this movie was fantastic for Never Hike Alone. But Vengeance just, I'll let you get into some of your stuff. We'll go back and forth. But it just felt flat. I don't know.
Well, let's talk more about the negatives, and then we can go into some of the positive stuff after we've talked about it some more. The first thing for me, honestly, was like how the thing was framed. It seemed like it was so close on everything. Like, I'm like, just zoom out a little bit. Like, even in the dialogue parts, it's like, here's 5 people in a scene, but it's just like zoomed in like this, you know, and Joe can't see me because of the way this works now, but, you know, just like right up in there, and I'm like, just kind of pan back a little bit. So that, it seemed every shot was like that, and there was like one artsy kind of like angled Battlefield Earth shot at one point. I was like, okay. Secondly, like you said before, there's just too much going on that ends up making the story just sort of go all over the place, because it's essentially from what I gather from it, watching it, it's almost like a direct sequel to Part 6.
Yeah, that's how I'd look at it too.
With the way that Jason was designed and the way that the
he had
story
elements.
progressed.
Yeah, I mean, you're right. I mean, how the story was placed. I mean, but I don't know if, like, when he came out of the water at the beginning, I don't know if the rubber mask was coming off his neck. Something looked awkward, because he almost had vibes of almost a Jason Goes to Hell look along with Part 6. It was just...
The mask was too small, and the face was, like, too fat.
Yeah, it just looked disproportionate. And we know that within all the Friday the 13th movies, that while they all try to connect, the masks always do still look, you know, very different and unique. And I guess that's the thing. I felt like they were trying to look like the ones we've already seen, whether it was in 6 or 9 or something, instead of going on their own and doing something unique like Never Hike Alone, because that was a completely unique mask design, and I give them all the respect in the world on that Jason design. And Never Hike Alone, it was fantastic, but this one just felt like they got something from, you know, Spencer's Gifts, or well, they don't even have fucking Spencer's no more, do they? From a Halloween store.
No, Spencer still exists.
Oh, do they? Okay. Yeah. Well, it felt like it's a costume they got from, the costume store. Put it on, and there you go. It just felt, yeah. And of course, yes.
I thought it was a little bit better than that, but when you do compare it to like Never Hike Alone, then yeah, it's and that's the thing too. Like, Never Hike Alone, obviously the superior film, but I just feel like if they would have cut back probably a good half hour and tightened it up a little bit, maybe got rid of some of the stuff, I think it would have been okay.
How long was this? Wasn't this like it was about an hour and a half movie at least for this?
Well,
wasn't it?
There's about 10 minutes of credits, so you're looking at about an hour and 23 minutes of actual like film.
Okay, because Never Hike Alone, I think that was like about a 50-minute movie, and it just worked. You're right, I agree with that. I think if they would have cut some of the time back, and maybe the amount of characters and what they were trying to do having going on, because it's like they wanted to bring everybody that we know from a lot of the movies, their relatives, all together to come to get, fight Jason. Like, this person, this is Ginny's descendant, and this person is for Tommy Jarvis.
It's like, you know what? If Jason had killed my Uncle Troy about 30 years ago, I don't honestly think I would give a shit now. Like, it's done and it's over with. I'm like, there's nothing I can do about it,
I think they were, and I think what they're doing is they were trying to capitalize on nostalgia and the names throughout all the, the not the fan films, from the Friday the 13th films in general. And I think by doing that, they were thinking, well, hey, if we got people that were supposed to be relatives from Part 2 and Part 6 in this movie, and have a lot of the people that worked on the movie that in the past, maybe they're drawing all the fans like, oh god, this is the super fan film, but it's like, it's too much. You guys need to cut back. And story-wise, like, almost kind of in their way of re-envisioning or retelling that, at the beginning of the original Friday the 13th, those two counselors that got killed, and you seen, like, them kind of shocked when they were making out, and of course it was supposed to be Mrs. Voorhees that killed them. Well, in this one now you see, it's supposed to be Elias. It was supposed to be Jason's father that did it. And the whole, Book of the Dead and bringing him to life, but then bringing him back again, and him at the beginning, it's like, I felt like they were jumping everywhere. It's like, what time frame is this? And what are they trying to tell us? And my head was almost exploding.
They didn't do a good job of making it look like, hey, this is 30 years ago. It all just sort of looked the same. Now, I do want to say, as a positive, I think that there were some good ideas there, because at least with Elias and establishing Jason's father and all that, like, that's uncharted territory. That's not really been discussed.
Because we've heard of him. We've heard him before. We know he's been in some of the comics and the books, and it was good. The thought of, yes, I'd like this, but I thought, you're right. The
execution just it didn't work, especially when you bring in the Book of the Dead stuff, which, you know what, if you could find a way to just do the Necronomicon and tie it into, like, Evil Dead or something, that would be kind of neat. When I think about it in the big budget sense, I know that they were thinking about Freddy versus Jason versus Ash, but what if that was the case, where you have Jason's father bringing him back from the dead using that book, and then now it's like Ash is
playing off of probably... I think they were playing off of Jason Goes to Hell, because remember, Jason Goes to Hell, that was in the Voorhees house, so I understood that, but I think that, just like you said, the way they executed, like, even how it started at the beginning, him going to the grave sites, and you see the marker of Jason and Pamela, and then that grave, the person that was digging the graves, it was hard to get them together, and he's like, what about the boy? And the guy that was digging the grave said, well, he's not there. He's like, well, don't tell nobody. But I was like, I still didn't understand what was going on. I was like, okay, we know you brought him back in the past, but what were you trying to do now? And then as he's standing there looking at Jason's grave, then you see Jason, like, moving, and boom, he comes to life underwater. It's like, was Elias telepathically bringing him to life? I mean, I don't know.
Yeah, and there'll probably be a little bit of spoilers with this. At the end, when you think that Elias is dead and the cop turns around and he's gone again, and then you get the bit at the end where him and Jason are together, you're just like, all right, so what's the angle?
Like, does
here?
Elias... Maybe even Elias is somewhat supernatural. That's what I was getting out of it. But then here's another thing that had me a little, like, again, confused, was towards the end when there's all the girls that are there, and Jason's there, and then Elias shows up. He's like, kill him, Jason, kill him, or whatever. And then Jason's looking at the girls and looking at his dad, back and forth, and eventually decides to kill his dad. And then his father pulls him in, then he lifts up Jason's mask. He's like, you're not my boy. Like, I guess, well, he sees that, okay, you're a little more demon than I thought, with that face. But what made him kill his dad? What would have made Jason think, I suddenly have sympathy?
I don't know, because then he just leaves the girls alone and just, like, walks away.
That's why I was lost. It's like, Jason has killed hundreds of people, so why all of a sudden do you have sympathy for these three girls, and you look at your dad back and forth as he's telling you to kill him, and you decide to kill your dad? And then, like you said, at the end, you see Elias is still alive, but then Jason was in back of him, and the movement's like, okay, so does Elias know Jason was there? Why did Jason not go after his dad again? My head was just, like I said, everywhere, wondering what the hell is going on with this movie.
Is it weird for me to say that the body count in this was too much? And a lot of it was even, like, just implied. A lot of it, a good portion, is just off screen. Now, some of the kills were pretty cool. The effects weren't overly spectacular, but some of the deaths were all right. And then some of them were just like, he's going in, there's a cut, there's the body. And I'm just like, well, I get it. And once again, fan film, so you can't... And that's where I kind of weigh on it. Like, does this movie suck? Did I not have a good time while I watched it? Yeah, I didn't. But it's a fan film. Like, it's not like they made a shitload of money off of this. It's not like it went out in theaters. I would probably watch this over a lot of the garbage that actually does get released in the theaters. So, props to them for making it and putting the effort into it. But overall, it just wasn't for me, period. Like, it's just too much, way too much going on, too many characters, and I'm just like, the acting was pretty atrocious. Like, the lead actress, like, and there were a lot of awkward pauses. in this. I don't know if you picked up on it, but it's just cut? Why
like,
is that still there? Like, trim that
I know
out.
what you mean. I got that too. And again, like you said, I couldn't do this shit. So, yeah, you're right. I applaud them for what they did for a fan film, trying to bring it together and having people that worked on the former franchises. But I think whoever wrote it was just, like you said, trying to take everything we've ever known, put it together, but then everything coincidentally, all being the same, like Tommy Jarvis's mother, with that whole part with her being the one that was supposed to be one that it's like, and again, you guys will see
that scene was jarring too, because they went to go make out and then like the other guys show up and it's just a barrage of like, what the fuck, and goddamn it, what the fuck, and I'm like, that there's an appropriate time and place to have fuck in a horror movie. And that wasn't it. Now, I do, another positive, do appreciate the boobies. Because that is a staple in your slasher movies. But at the same time, too, it's just, I thought it was kind of amusing that they're there at the campfire, and the dude's like, hey, you wanna get out of here? And they go and skinny dip, and then, like, the two chicks just go, and then they start making out. My favorite part is when Jason... There's this redheaded chick that's in a tent, and she's not even with a dude. She's just like gyrating and like rubbing herself. And
didn't get it. I was lost with it too, because I thought she was ready to get in there and get down. I was like,
my favorite part is I think her bra was too small to make her tits like pop out more, like to stick out more. But it was like starting to rise up. And you can see her while she's rubbing herself, just kind of like move it back down into position. And I was just like, you should have just done a different take, but.
No, I see what now I got a question, because like I said, since the movie seems so over the, everywhere, it was all over the place, and when sometimes that happens, my mind actually will shut down, because I was like, I'm not enjoying it, so I'm getting confused. But
yeah, you get distracted by other things. I was doing that too when I was watching on the computer. I'm like, oh, let me just open up another tab, or I'll just listen to it.
It's because I'm trying to process so much that, like I said, I guess it was hard at one point. Okay, the thing I'm saying is, towards the end, when Elias goes in there and kills Mrs. Jarvis, now, which Mrs. Jarvis was that? Was that supposed to be Tommy's mother? That's where I got confused. Like, was that Tommy's mom he was supposed to have killed in the house when he said, you let my boy drown? And she said, fuck you, Voorhees, and then he killed her. Was that supposed to be Tommy's mom? And the reason I say it is because I thought she got killed in 4. That's why I got lost with that part.
You know what? Now that you bring that up, I honestly don't know.
Well, either way, whoever Jarvis was...
Well, she was on the other end of the phone when the daughter was calling, right? Earlier in the movie?
I believe so.
So I guess that might... It would maybe be his... I don't know.
The thing is, I wanted to go back and rewatch it, but then I didn't want to go back and watch it. It's like, so I know people are like, oh, you guys are reviewing, you don't know shit. No, we know the majority of it. That just kind of had me confused. I was like, I didn't know if that was supposed to be Tommy's mother, and if it was, I thought she was killed.
I would assume it is either his mother or his ex-wife, but that wouldn't make sense either.
It just, because apparently she was supposed to have been the one that maybe was making out with that boy years ago when Jason drowned, so it was her fault. Or I don't know. Like I said, I think they were just trying to connect too many of the families that we've known throughout all the movies into one thing, everybody coincidentally knowing somebody. I was like, it was too much. If they, like you said, could have cut back, not as had as many actors, because there was just too many. I mean, just for comparison, like we said, Never Hike Alone had 5. And the whole movie, for the majority, was one person, where you had Kyle. Kyle is the person. He's the hiker. And then he eventually, X amount, maybe halfway through, bam, here comes Vincent DeSanti as Jason Voorhees. And they had a hell of a good back and forth. And at the end, then you get, the 2 ambulance, the paramedics, and then the driver that you see is, surprise, it's Tommy.
And I think that's another thing that puts that movie miles above this one is the tension. Like, they did a good job in Never Hike Alone of building that tension and wondering,
good point.
Like, where's Jason? it builds to that. In this, it's just like kill, 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 and I'm like,
that was a perfect example.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm glad you said that. You're right. The tension was actually created and built in times when, like you said, when Kyle would be hiding behind something or Jason popped up. But either way, when Jason would show up, you felt it. It kind of gave you that shock, and it was believable. You were actually drawn in thinking, oh, shit, this guy could be in trouble, and it felt like Jason.
Yeah.
But in this one, but in Vengeance, he's just always there, and sometimes it's in the light, and it just felt, there was no impact.
It's just like, well, here's this hiking trail, guys. Ha ha ha! Boom! Everybody's dead. And it was just like, okay, on to the next thing.
Right, and no suspense, and like the music didn't have that boom impact. Like the music in Never Hike Alone, I think that was all original, but it worked great, and it still felt like a Friday the 13th film. But in Vengeance, it seemed like they were just using sound effects and sounds and music from all the other Friday the 13th movies, but it just felt out of place. I wasn't drawn in. I wasn't believing that anybody was ever in danger. Like Never Hike Alone. Yes, it was one person, but that would be a hell of a thing if you were that one person, and how are you going to survive against this unstoppable killer? Never Hike Alone made me believe that Jason was going to kill this guy. But Vengeance, I just felt like, hey, here we go, the guy in the costume just popping up. It unfortunately did nothing. I applaud him for making, a fan film. I couldn't do it, but it wasn't a fun fan film for me, because as you can see, I'm a super Friday the 13th fan. I love Friday the 13th. So I'm not knocking the people who created it. It's just I wish it could have been, just presented a little bit better.
And trimmed down a bit. I mean, that thing should have been 45 minutes. Easy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And especially if they took more people out. If they had more people out of there, maybe they could have fleshed things out better with not having as many people. Because I think you're trying to give this person a part and this person a part. So it's making the movie longer, but it's also making it more convoluted and confusing at times.
Yeah, and to top it all off, like the whole main goal was to find Tommy Jarvis, and guess what? They didn't find him.
Not there.
She thinks, and I hated that scene at the end where the coroner shows up. He's like, yeah, we didn't find a Tommy Jarvis. It's just like, so he's alive? And he's like, well, I didn't say that. And I'm like, well, I don't know.
I don't know how it works, because again, I don't know if some people try to get exclusive to one thing, but I don't know if maybe since, Tommy was in the Never Hike Alone movie, since they had, Tom Matthews in that, do you think there was an issue with trying to have Tom Matthews in this, or is Tom Matthews maybe going to appear in other Never Hike Alones in the future? I don't know.
I don't know. Will there be a sequel to this?
Well, there's going to be more Never Hike Alones, though. You guys go back them up.
Yeah.
Is
they have
Kickstarters, or what do they have?
Yeah, it's Kickstarter. I haven't looked at it in a while, but they have it planned out. It's like this one will come out. This one will come out about 6 months later, a year later, etc., etc. So I'm looking forward to that. But if a sequel's made for this, I'll still give it a spin, but I won't expect much. And I guess if any of those guys that worked on this see this, I hope that they're not mad. I hope that they...
No, like, again, we're not. It's not like we're shitting saying
it's not the worst thing I've ever seen. So, but it just wasn't. It just wasn't that good.
Just executed a little bit better. That's all we're saying is, again, trim down. More is not always better, as case in point, like we said with Never Hike Alone. 5 people in a movie where mainly it's just 1, then 2 through the entire movie, and then 3 others towards the end for just a quick little thing. But otherwise, it's mainly 2 people, but it sucked you in. It was believable. It brought tension, the mood, everything was it was just executed perfectly. I keep saying that, but it's true. But this one with Vengeance, so many things. It's like you said, you can't keep up. It's hard to keep up with following every single person, every story, everything, and then trying to put in, like you said, some people getting killed, comedy relief. I understand it, but you just maybe don't write it so confusing. Try to just stick to one good path, and maybe have a good 10 people in there. Yeah. I think 10's enough. 10 people.
The idea was there. The heart was
the
heart was in the right place. I like the idea of going at the angle with his father. It's not something that had been done before. So
I always wanted to see more of Elias, especially after hearing his name in Jason Goes to Hell. I wanted to know, wow. So it was good that they went with him. I just, again, wish they could have did something. Like, again, they didn't have to make it seem like, oh, he was the one that was the killer in part one that killed those two kids at the, in the loft, I guess. Yeah, the loft. It's like, okay, we didn't need that, but I like the thought of he brought his boy back with the Book of the Dead. He was the reason, and that's why Jason is supernatural. I love it. So I just wish it could have been done a little different. So if they do a sequel, yeah, cut it back a little bit, make the movie about an hour, put 10 people in there, and just focus on them. And you don't have to have all these cameos. We don't need tons of them. They did.
That's the thing, too. Like, I understand wanting to have a wink and a nod to the people checking out your movie, but you don't have to have... Oh, it's like, you remember this person? Hey, look, they're in my... It's like, When I watch this stuff, I'm not like, oh, whoa, yeah, whoa. I don't do that. I'm not a cameo person. I don't really give two shits about that. Who was the girl the lady that you made the custom for? Who did she play in this movie?
She played Marilyn. She was one of the people that did the camping killer tours or whatever they were doing. Her real name's Diana Prince. Yeah, Diana Prince. And it was great seeing her in that movie. It was, and because I know she's a super, hey, got to see her. But no, she's a super Friday the 13th fan, so I know that must have been great for her to be in that movie. So it was cool seeing her in there. Just like I said, just the execution of the movie and some of the acting, the mood, the mood music and sound effects and the feel was just off. They had something going, but it just didn't deliver like I wanted. I mean, I was super excited, thinking, man, but it's like sometimes from the get-go. When you see how a movie is shot and you start hearing the sound, and it's like, I can feel, yes, you know what I mean?
The first 5 minutes in, I was like, well, I'm going to, it's going to take me a little bit, and it did take me a little while to get through this. I watched it in parts. I watched about 45, I watched 45 minutes of it here, and then when I was at work on break, I watched about another 15, 20 minutes, and then I came home and finished it. Begrudgingly, because Joe's been bugging me about this. He's like, you got to make sure you watch it, and I want to apologize to our listeners and viewers that we missed the past couple weeks. Had to work, illnesses, shit just comes up. Didn't have the time to do it, so apologies for that. But yeah, it's rough.
You knew from the get-go. It's like you said, it's a movie that, yes, they said it's a fan film, so exactly, they never said, hey, this is official, but you definitely could tell. You knew right how it shot. Yep, it feels like a fan film. Whereas, like I say, Never Hike Alone, you put that on, you would not get that feel. You think, damn, what's this movie? It immediately feels like a movie if you don't know what the hell you're watching. You know what I mean? And then, hey, bam, Jason. Picture showing that to somebody. If somebody's just watching this film, they're like, damn, this is interesting. What's going on? And boom, when Jason showed, you're like, what the fuck?
Yeah.
I mean, that would shock you,
Yeah, that'd be pretty cool. That's why I actually have a copy of it on Blu-ray. I went out of my way to get a copy of that from those guys.
And it fits right in with your Friday the 13th collection. It's great stuff.
It does. That is Never Hike Alone is one that I will go back and revisit as the years continue to pass.
Hell yeah. I want a figure of that, Jason. I should make them. I make them as customs. That's one that would look awesome as an action figure. Would be his version of Jason.
Do it, Joe.
Do it. God damn it. I'm going to package it and I'm going to show everybody, say, look at this. Looks like an official one. And it looks different, too. That's why I like it. It's like all the other Jasons. They're all Jason, but they all look different. And so does the Never Hike Alone one. But yeah, if we were to give stars on Vengeance, and no, like I said, I'm not doing this being mean. I give them a star for their effort. It was amazing that they tried it. I would, the thing is, if I'd try, I wouldn't even have a star.
That's what I'm saying too. And that's the funny part about people in criticism and reviewing things and judging things is it's an opinion, but in the back of my mind, too, I'm thinking, like, well, I couldn't do that.
Yeah, I sure couldn't. I wouldn't be able to do any of this shit. I wouldn't even give a star. Mine would be laughable. But, I mean, they put in the effort. They knew what they were doing. This is what they were trying for. So I'm just going to say I like the thought of the movie and what they were trying, about a 1.5. It's just the execution, the story, and a lot of the other stuff was just confusing. That's why out of 5 stars, I'd give 1.5. And like I said, not saying this being mean, just I give it 1.5.
No, I'm actually right there with you, Joe. 1.5. Yeah. 1.5 for me as well. Good job on some of the effects. I wish you would have shown more of the kills, but I get it. Tighten it up, trim it out, cut people out. Like, you don't need that many people in that. Yeah. I think to me it was just like for the sake, like the the prisoners out there picking up trash on the road. All those guys get slaughtered, and you don't even really see it. I mean, it's like the body cam footage, but why did that need to be there? It didn't.
All right.
Yep, tighten it up a little bit, but yeah, 1.5 out of 5 for me. Joe, I wish you watched trailers, because the trailer for The Invisible Man came out, and I know.
Oh, they're making another one, really?
I know that our good friend Penny Dreadful is like a huge Universal Monsters fan, and I saw a post from her that was sort of just like, that kind of looks like shit. But having watched the trailer, it is a complete departure from the original story and the book that it's based on. I thought it actually looked okay.
When's that come out?
I don't actually know the release date on that. Or maybe, I want to say maybe it said February. Let me check real quick. But it's doing something kind of different. Yeah, it sort of has the Hollow Man premise in a way, but not really.
I enjoyed Hollow Man. I know a lot of people hated Hollow Man, but I liked Hollow Man. I actually enjoyed the first one, not the second.
I didn't. Doesn't the second one have like Christian Slater in it?
It was. I couldn't even remember. It's been that long. I just knew I didn't like it when I watched it. But first Hollow Man, I see where they're going. It was different, and I know it wasn't everybody's cup of tea, but I thought it was okay. Not a superb horror movie, but it was all right.
Yeah, Invisible Man comes out in February.
February, okay.
So I probably won't go to the theater and see it, but I will definitely watch it, because I just can't. I can't go to the theater anymore. Every time it's a bad experience, and I can't. I'm done. Can't do it anymore.
I just have, like I said, I have bad experiences with Popeye's chicken, not just from what I said at the beginning, but on 2 different occasions. Every time I go, there's always this guy that's staying out front, and it don't matter if I go on a Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday, whatever the day is, and whatever the time is. This guy that's always out front. Hey, you got $1? Hey, you got 50 cents? And I never do. But the one time I went, which it was the last time before going where I didn't go this time, was I went in there, and I was going in, he's like, you have $1? I was like, I don't know. I'll see what happens when I come out. But I was so hungry. I was eating. Really, I don't know. I was so hungry.
Joe, even Joe's like, I don't know how much money I have, man. Like, let's just see what happens.
Really, because I usually have crumbled up dollar bills in my pocket. I'm going to get my $5.90.
Of course. God damn it, Joe. I can see. Joe's talking about if he made a fan film, it wouldn't be worth a shit. And you know what? I don't believe that, because someone would be like, "This is artsy. This is taking chances," and it's just like you pissing on a dumpster.
Exactly. It's no, but
crumbled up dollar. I could see, like, you got your sweatpants on. You're just going through. You're like digging through your pockets, dropping like change and like a piece of stale pretzel.
I got receipts in my pocket. I'm usually separate them, and I do have change that's mixed in there. I was like, I just need $5.99 to get my 7-piece spicy. And so when I went there, I was like, could you give me a lot of hot sauce and honey? And they gave me all the hot sauce and honey. I was so hungry, though, I started sitting down eating. As I was eating, I seen the guy come in, and he was sitting down at a booth. I was like, is he sitting there fucking waiting for me? So as I was done eating my 7-piece and got up, I reached in my pocket, and I had a $2 scratch-off winner. I was like, hey, I ain't got no money but here. I said, this is a $2 scratch-off. You can take it to the gas station. He's like, oh, thanks. But goddamn, that guy's there every time I go. So I just can't go in peace to Popeyes.
Yeah, I always hate that. And another thing, too, is like if you go to Walmart and people are set up out front at both entrances, and I'm like, and this happened to me yesterday. I'm like, well, I'll just go through the side door over here. That way, I don't have to be like asked. You know, have you thought about our Lord and Savior Jesus Christ? Do you want some cookies? Whatever. And it happens every time I go in there. I get the shit that I need. I check out, and you know what I do? I end up going through the doors when I leave because I forgot that they were there. And then they're like, "Oh, hey, have you thought about our Lord and Savior Jesus Christ? Do you want some Thin Mint cookies?" I'm like, "No."
God damn it, no, I don't want no fucking cookies. Yeah. Like, oh, I guess he hasn't thought about the Lord then.
So I kind of see what you're saying, and that kind of sucks. No, everyone's just okay with that guy just always being there. Couldn't he get in trouble for loitering or.
You would I mean, really, you'd think, and I've always thought that, but I mean, a lot of the places sometimes where I go, it's like there's just somebody that loiters and they let them loiter. I guess they'll do it until, I guess, maybe enough people will complain, like, could you get this guy to stop standing in front of this business? I'd like to come in here, one time without being bugged and bothered for $1.50. And it's all the time. It's not like once in a while. It's like, what are the odds that every time I go there, he's there? It's like, when the fuck do you leave? When do you go eat and pee? Because you're always in front of this fucking door.
Yeah, that's something, too. I don't know if you have a lot of this in parts unknown, but there's, like, an area that we go to. It's actually where I would have to go to that Popeyes, that they're always, you can see people just, like, standing, like, in the medians and stuff, like, holding signs and everything. And it's tough to feel bad because, one, I don't know if it's just a scam, that they're just getting money and just going off.
It's not like you're heartless, you're right, but you see these people and you wonder, like, okay, is this a scam? And especially when I'll see somebody young standing out there, like this person looks like they're in their 20s. But the times I have done it is, like, if I see somebody old and they look scraggly, and you know what I'm talking about, you know when somebody's hard on their luck, and I feel bad as shit, I will. I was like, here you go. If I had some money, even if I was going to use it to get myself something, like, they need it more than me, and I'll give that to somebody.
And I've done that before, too. I've gone to, like, the ATM and gotten, like, $20 out, and I'm like, here you go.
Yeah.
But
you feel bad.
Yeah, but it is also tough to gauge it. But some of them you can really tell. It's like, all right, there's hard times.
Especially when they're standing there, they have headphones on. You see plenty of drinks. They got backpacks, and they're holding a sign saying, help, need money. I'm like, need money? Shit, I need money. Give me the headphones. Give me some of that shit. I don't have that.
I was about to say, Joe, why don't... I'm surprised... Actually, we won't even go in that territory, because Joe's probably going to be like, you know what, I do have a story. I have done that before, blah, blah, blah.
Right.
Open up the book of the motto a little bit more. But yeah, 1.5 stars. Check out Never Hike Alone. And you know what? I would say check this out, too. Just at
Still
least
watch it. We're not saying don't watch it. Watch
it,
and give your opinion. You guys might love it. You might say, you two fuckers are out of your mind. That was the best Friday the 13th fan film ever. And if you think that, that's fine. It's just, yes, try them both. Friday the 13th Vengeance and Never Hike Alone.
Yeah.
That's all.
Yeah, there we go. Joe, you got anything else that you want to talk about? Any more stories? Any thrifty tips before we head on down the road?
No, I can't think of any thrifty tips. I normally would have a thrifty tip. Okay, well, if you guys like chewing gumballs, instead of getting a gumball for $1 out of a machine, and you don't know if you're going to get your favorite red one or whatever color, usually at Dollar Tree, they sell bags of gumballs for $1. And I get it's the berry cherry one, Nathan. And you get about 20 gumballs in there. So you're getting like, $6, $7 worth of gumballs, in there. And if you were to go to a gumball machine, you're going to be paying way too much to get that. So yeah, for $1, you're getting like $7 worth of gumball machine gumballs. Very, very red cherry. Good shit.
Joe and his Dollar Tree. I imagine as soon as you put it in your mouth, it loses its flavor.
No, the cherry ones hold it for a while. They really do. It's good, I'm telling you. So go to Dollar Tree and get your cherry gumballs in a bag. And that's all. That's my thrifty tip.
Oh, Joe.
And plus, who wants to go up to the gumball machine? You put the quarter in, you turn it. You know how many people have sneezed on their hands, have turned that handle, who reached their grubby, slimy hands, kids all coughing and shit, and touching that thing where that gumball comes out. Fuck that. Get a bag.
That's why I am mostly a germaphobe. Like, anytime. That's why I have hand sanitizer in the car constantly. That's why when I go to the restaurants... Like when we go
I got it in my pocket and in my car.
And when we go eat, as soon as we get our food and I sit down or they bring us our food, I will go get up and wash my hands. Because you got to think, doorknobs, anything you touch, think about all the people that have touched that. And then people just don't wash their hands. So they
don't. And that's not us being germaphobes. It's people being fucking nasty. You see them coming out of the bathroom, they're not washing their hands. They're coughing and sneezing in their hands, then they grab the doorknob. So usually when I go up to a place, I take my fist like a knuckle to open, because it's usually a handle, and I pull it open like this. And when I leave, I'm using elbows. And here's another tip. Think about this one, Nathan, which I'm sure you've probably done too. You sit down at a restaurant, and you have a hamburger and some fries, and you grab their ketchup bottle at Red Robin, you shake it and squeeze it out. But what did you just do? You grab that germy so what I do is I sit down, I always take out my fucking sanitizer, put it onto a napkin, and wipe off the ketchup bottle before I use it.
I've never done that. Usually I just take a napkin and just grab it with the napkin.
Well, either way, that's better. So see, you guys, you're getting a Friday the 13th reviews on 2 movies, and you're getting some thrifty tips from us.
I like that some places in their bathrooms have the no hands door handle where you can just like put your arm in there and just open it up like that. Is that too fancy for you, Joe?
That I don't know. What are you talking about? Wait, what do you got?
It's basically just like a little hook that like sticks out that you can like put your arm in and just open the door that way, so you don't have to use your hand. Yeah.
Huh. Okay.
Sometimes I just use my foot too to just like kick the door open.
Yeah, whatever works.
Yeah.
But
and
right.
like anytime if it's an emergency and you got to like actually take a shit somewhere, I love that there are places that have the actual like toilet
circle things that fit it.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Yeah. Otherwise you're like peeling off like layers of toilet paper and putting it around. Even if I'm about to shit my pants, I will still do that because I'm like, I am not sitting down on this nasty toilet seat.
Yep.
You know what? I remember Christmas morning. I was leaving my girlfriend's house at the time and heading back to my place. And all of a sudden on the interstate, I got the tum rums and I'm like, I got to take, oh man, this is bad. So I like pull over, there's a truck stop, and I go in, and it's just like nasty. And I'm just sitting there kind of like almost like crossing my legs and hunching over like, oh, I'm gonna end up shitting my pants, and just like gently like placing layers of toilet paper on the seat and just kind of like, don't do it. And then it was like Jeff Daniels in Dumb and Dumber when I finally sat down.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Shaking, having the legs up in the air, and then that little squeak that came to yeah, right.
Well, there's our thrifty tips, and we talked about chicken and staying healthy and shitting your pants, and see, we give you everything. So we hope you guys enjoyed this. If you did, make sure you like the video, leave a comment down below, and if you haven't subscribed to us yet, click that button and ring the bell so you get notified when new videos are posted, or if I decide to play some video games. Check the links down below, buy a shirt from Joe, hit him up for a customized figure, and check out Fans of Power, the weekly Master Universe interactive podcast that we do almost every Sunday at 9 p.m. We didn't do it last week, but we'll be there tomorrow night to do that.
Yes.
So yeah, I think that's all I got to say. Joe,
Me too.
Joe, you good? All right. Well,
I'm good.
Until then, we will see you in the future to talk about the past. Take care, everybody.